Hey friends, welcome back. I am Beth with crochetrx. I run this business with my daughters. If you are new here, welcome. We've had a lot of new subscribers recently, and welcome. I would love to hear how you found me. If it was from another channel that we've been commenting in the threads, or where you might have found me, I would love to hear. If you are not new here, welcome back. This has been a pretty boring week. We are still on kind of our summer hiatus from craft shows. However, there has been a few things going on. I had a coordinator back in May at an event ask me about doing a show in August. Then she got my information. I didn't really get her information at that time. And then from the coordinators of the event I was at, I figured out who she was and then reached out to her, said things were kind of in the works still, and she would get back to me. So then she reached out to me last week about an event that's supposed to be happening, well, at this point now, because this is Wednesday the 20th, it's happening the 23rd. So at that point, there was about 10 days from when she contacted me till the event. Said, setup is at 1 o'clock. What time can you be there? Okay. Where is this happening? What are the details? What's the address? Well, it's a mile down the road from Walmart. Okay. What's the address? Nothing more. So I had asked how it was going to be marketed and where all this stuff was. She told me it was going to be marketed on Facebook, all these things. I did not hear anything else. I never got an address, nothing. It's a cat rescue. There is nothing on their Facebook page about this event. There is nothing in the town that this is located in about this event. That I searched for that town, and the day of the event, there's nothing of the nature. So, given the fact that events have not been as exemplary this year, while there's not really a fee to set up, that just seems like a waste of my time, quite honestly. And the extreme disorganization of the coordinator just rubs me wrong. So I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on that. Is this something that you would do anyway? Because it's free, because you can, even without an address? Like, do I just drive down this road until I find a building that looks like the picture? Like, I don't even know. Going to this is part of a chain. This is this person who rents this building also owns a furniture store that recently closed. So if you search this organization, you can find this building rental because it's used for like events and weddings and things like that, but it doesn't even list the building address on the website. It lists the furniture store address, which I know exactly where that is because it's up the street from our dance studio and next to a McDonald's. So, which is not where the event center is that we'd be going to. So I don't know. This is just weird. So I'd heard nothing again since last Tuesday. She then emailed me today saying, I've been locked out of Facebook. I found your contact information. What time are you coming on Saturday? So I replied, I'm sorry, I'm not coming on Saturday. After asking you the address, I never received a confirmation of the address. I have watched your Facebook page. I have looked at the events for the city, and I have never seen any advertising or an event information to give me details on this event. I will not be in attendance. So, with that, I was then also in the midst of this last weekend. I was invited to a opening ceremony for another small business the Chamber of Commerce that I have worked with for some Christmas events is going to be doing a ribbon cutting ceremony at a small business, a arcade, I don't even know what you call it, a little store with a bunch of arcade games, and a gaming store that is opening this weekend. And they are going to have food trucks and make kind of an event evening of it. So in lieu of the disorganized cat rescue, which I would have loved to supported because I am a big cat person, I am going to set up for this small business little mini expo with the Chamber of Commerce in the town up the road that I do my large Christmas show with. So that details were just confirmed on that today. The same time that I'm emailing the organizer going, I'm not showing up for you on Saturday. So that is good. So that is our first show for quite a while. Then this evening, one of my reoccurring Christmas shows, the one that I actually do on Small Business Saturday, messaged me. I think they must have had a Chamber of Commerce meeting tonight. But she had messaged me going, unfortunately, our event on Small Business Saturday is canceled. The venues that we were hoping to lock down are not available. So we are skipping this year. So I've unfortunately turned down a number of shows because I had planned on continuing to attend this other one. So that's unfortunate. I just posted on my business pages asking if anybody had a particular Black Friday, Small Business Saturday show that they would like to see us at, and hope to find an event to replace that. I also haven't heard from this Chamber of Commerce. That is usually my largest event for Christmas. It's usually the weekend before Thanksgiving. So I'm hoping that I can get somebody to the side on Saturday and go, hey, what's going on with this? I've sent a couple emails. Nobody's responded. Are we on this year? What's happening? Because that's really my biggest show. That's been my biggest show for the last 2 years. And I want to make sure that nobody's taking my spot. So hopefully I can get that nailed down. I would like to get a few more dates filled in on my calendar because, as I've said before, work has not been the most reliable. I'm a contractor. I'm a nurse diabetes educator, and I have 1099 contract positions. I am not salary. I am not considered an employee. And so if there's no work, I do not get paid. And unfortunately, things have been a little bit more unpredictable lately. These are roles that fit for our family. I homeschool both my children. I have a high schooler and a junior high, and they're both dyslexic, and unfortunately the school system just isn't set up to fulfill what they need. And so it is something that we have had to step up and do. As parents, this is just part of our responsibility, and I will not fail my children. So these are just changes that we've had to roll with over the years, and not all of my jobs have been the most career advancing positions, but it has been what our family has needed to allow growth and continued success of the children. So we really do depend on the extra craft show income to help with our dance fees and all the extras that come along with families and activities. And as I mentioned in the last video, I was brainstorming ways for fundraisers. Because we did move cross country 5 years ago for my husband's job. We are originally from Illinois. We are now in North Carolina, and we do not know anybody. We do not have a village. We do not have a network outside of our dance community. So fundraising is a challenge. I don't have people to sell to, to raise money for things. Even my husband works in the same office as the individual that coordinates the fundraisers. So she tends to, not intentionally, but she has a monopoly over the office. She's worked there for 20 years. So maybe longer, 25. So it is what it is. But this year, none of the fundraisers work for us because I can't sell mums to my family in Illinois. I can't sell raffle tickets to the Chinese restaurant down the road to my family in Illinois. So came up with a different little fundraiser of selling raffle tickets for our crochet stuff. So I will throw a little picture up here on the screen of the little things that I came up with. And so I'm selling tickets for $5 each. So for every 30 tickets sold, I will draw a name to choose one of these 4 prize bundles. So essentially 30 tickets at $5 gets $150. And so the prize bundles are upper 40s to $50. So that essentially kind of provides us with a little over $100 of fundraiser money per raffle winner. Certainly, you know, I'm essentially writing off my labor, but there's still the materials and stuff that goes into this as well. So I've got the 4 different packages, and so with that, I've done a little bit of crocheting. I had put out a survey and asked people what they were interested in. As I put out the cats idea, I had suggestions for Halloween kind of themed with cats. So I did a black cat with the silver accents, and then I made her a hat. So she's got a hat to go with that. And so that one was new for the bundle. A number of things I already had crocheted. The plants I did all make for the bundle here. I didn't dig these out of inventory. So, because the plants are kind of hodgepodge for what I do have in inventory. So these 2, and then the 3rd cactus. So these are my plants. And then the kiddo did make a couple of bracelets and cup charms to go with our coordinating themes. And then with our show now on Saturday, I think I may put out a thing for the raffle tickets and see if I can't sell some at the show as well, as opposed to just friends and family. Right now we're just shy of meeting that first 30 tickets. So I said it was going to run for 2 weeks, and then so through the end of August, and then we would draw the winner on Labor Day, or, you know, the number of winners. So the first name I would draw would pick the first prize. The second name that I draw would then have the second choice at the group of prizes. So hopefully that goes over well, and then maybe we would do something holiday themed as we get, say, towards November. And so that is what's going on now. And so those are really the big things. Our impromptu show now for Saturday. I need to get a few more peg hooks for our rotary keychain holders. With doing so many of the small keychain items for the Instagram challenge video that I did a couple back, I need more hooks to hang those on. So I need to place an Amazon order for that. I've also been thinking about getting some mystery boxes and putting some small things in that I've had for a while that just haven't sold into that, and seeing if I can't move some of that inventory that way as well. So brainstorming a couple of ideas there for that. I think that gets you mostly caught up now. I will see what extra stuff I get done tomorrow. I don't currently have any patients scheduled tomorrow, so I may do a little bit of charts and a little bit of crocheting in preparation for this weekend and see what kind of fun things I can do. I do know that I need to get started on my pumpkins. Especially with pulling, where's my pumpkin? Pulling my ghost out here and my one pumpkin out here. I am pretty low on ghosts and pumpkins. So I do need to get some of those out because I do have, I think, 2 shows before Halloween that I could sell ghosts and pumpkins at. And then certainly I've got the couple of shows before Thanksgiving as well, or one additional show before Thanksgiving that I could sell the pumpkins at as well. So a few things to work on, and we'll see where all of that goes, and then hopefully we will have some traffic at Saturday's event. It goes from 2 to 8, so we may even need our lights and our power source because it's starting to get a little darker in the evenings again. So depending on which way I'm facing, my tent may need some extra light, depending on, orientation. So I will catch up with you later. Good morning. We are now up to Friday morning. Just want to give you a little recap on yesterday. I insert a little mini thing here, but I had worked a half a day and then we ran some errands. I don't think I had mentioned that we had been to the dentist early in the week. My kids, thanks to the lovely genetics on my husband's side, don't tend to lose teeth. My 12-year-old has only lost one by herself. She's 12. And we have yet another that is now infected and needs to be pulled because it just won't ever come out. So we had to go pick up some antibiotics, and then we are big Harry Potter fans. And I had placed an order on Monday when the Krispy Kreme Harry Potter donuts were out. Placed it at like 8 in the morning for pickup at 6:30 at night. After I dropped my daughter off at dance, I was running up to the town to pick them up and then go back and get her from dance. And when I got to Krispy Kreme, the order in the app said completed, and they handed me a cancellation and a refund saying that they were out of donuts. Apparently they do not pull donuts for orders. They just wait to fill it till you show up. Yeah. This Krispy Kreme donuts is an hour away. It added an extra 20 minutes to my trip each way after dropping my daughter off at dance. I was pissed. We had stopped at Walmart yesterday because I needed to get some basic Bisquick, some Hershey bars for s'mores because that is my weakness. And as we were going through the checkout, they had the 6-packs of Harry Potter donuts. So we did end up picking some up there yesterday. And so that was fun treat last night. Then with the rest of the afternoon yesterday, I went through and tagged all the things that we had been making the last few weeks. Because we hadn't had any shows, I hadn't been tagging, I hadn't been putting stuff away. It just piles up to take photos and add to our Shopify store. Some stuff I did have photos of from doing the Palmstreet, but a lot of stuff I did need photos of. So right on the other side of my camera is my turnstile where I have all of the keychains hung up. So I've got all of our chickens, my daughter's chickens, the teenager does that. So she's got 4 different flavors, 4 different colors of chickens. We've got some mini whales. I've got the mini cats from our free Instagram challenge. The mini whales would also be part of the free Instagram challenge. They just weren't made prior to me making the video. And then we've got all of our mini stingrays, our fish, all of those things. These are all things that I have linked previously. If you want the pattern for them or interested in them, comment below and I will be sure to link it again. Otherwise, I got all my epoxy pens that I've been making into their turns. I've got a clear acrylic spinny thing that I think it's like a makeup brush holder or something, art spinner. And so they sit in there for the epoxy pens that I do. I didn't realize that I had so few coffee themed ones. I've got a couple teacher and coffee themed ones, but I only have 2 coffee themed ones. I don't have enough time to make more for this weekend, but that's something that I need to do for the fall. Also, I had the younger one clean up some of my blanks to prep them for making the epoxy pens, and I'm down to like my last 6 black pen blanks. I have a lot of colored pens, but you know, not everybody wants rainbow pens. So I also have some neon pens that Santa brought me. And I should make some pens for myself. I just never do. I tend to buy the pens for myself, not make the pens for myself. So that was what we did yesterday. The only guys I still don't have tagged or anything are my nuggets. So I don't really have a good presentation packaging thing for them. So I may not bring them to this show. We will see. I guess didn't tag my pickle, but I only have a single pickle. And again, don't have a presentation or a packaging for him. I need to get a pickle container to throw all the pickles in. That'll be a good, easy make as dance starts back up after Labor Day, that I can just sit in the car and whip those guys out pretty brainlessly. But as of this moment, those 2 items, 2 varieties are not tagged and probably won't be coming with us this weekend. I have so much other inventory, nobody is really going to miss them. So we are good. I think we are set. I have more of the pegs coming for our turnstiles, for our keychains, a peg board base. So I've got more pegs coming for that. Not only do we hang the keychains on there, with the extra epoxy I have from doing intentional projects, I also then, with the excess, pour into keychain molds or earring molds, and then I let the 12-year-old, make those creations. So we do then have a bunch of like $3, $4 epoxy keychains, epoxy earrings that get sold off of those turnstiles as well, plus our silicone keychains and cup charms are on those turnstiles. So those turnstiles are hot in demand. We almost need to make them taller, but then it gets to a point that they become too much of a fall risk once things get stacked too tall. So especially when they're spinny and mobile. So I think that's about it. The weather, I haven't double checked the weather again, looking at what tomorrow's going to be, but so far, as I've looked at it throughout the week, it's looked to be pretty good. and it should be a great afternoon. So looking forward to getting out and getting set up and all of that. I did stop at the bank yesterday with some of our summer travels. And not having events for the couple of months, I had pulled a lot of the cash out of my accordion file for my cash. I keep my cash in just let me grab it real quick. So this little guy is linked in the description under event stuff, but it's essentially a receipt file, you know, just an accordion thing here. And so I then mark 1s, 5s, 10s, 20s, and I just keep my change in here. So that way I can open it up and put the money in the designated slot and not have to worry about pulling out a whole wad of mismatched everything. I then keep extras in the back. So I then have extra 1s in the bank bag in the back, and any large bills, like on the occasion I get a 50 or something like that, I then tuck in the back in the unused files in the back. So I'm really only using like the first 5 files up here for the 1s, 5s, 10s, 20s, and then I use the back for the excess change that I rarely get into, but I stock it myself with 1s and 5s. I tend to keep about $50 in 1s up here, then I have $50 in 1s back here, and then I keep $50 to $60 of 5s up here. And that then has not caused any shortages for cash. Events past, years ago, I have had issues where I've kept less money and have run out of smaller denominations of bills. But in the last 4 or 5 years, I have not had any issues with that system. So as long as I keep that system going forward, I seem to be doing well. I do kind of keep little business cards and stuff up front here to hide a little bit. I should put something a little bit more in there, an index card or something. The back is very much covered, so that's not an issue there, but I should slip an index card in there to cover that. As I sit it on the table, it tends to not draw much attention to it, or sometimes it's in the bag next to me, depending on where we are, the group, the event, that kind of stuff. So that is what I do. I used to have a cash box. They're big, they're clunky, and the cash then kind of folds if there's not something completely on top of it. Because people keep it folded in their wallets and so forth, the cash then folds back up and it just doesn't sit well. And so it can be hard to dig through sometimes. So I just find that by keeping everything flat and compacted, it's just so much nicer. And this is easy for my children to get into, to make change if I've run off to the bathroom. Everybody can find this system. It's not attached to me, and so that works out well. So I think that was the last little tidbit. I will get this smooshed together and briefly edit it and get this up, and then we will have our setup and recap then later this weekend for this show. And if you've made it this far, thank you. Still about 85% of my watchers are not subscribed. So if you are not subscribed, I would love for you to hang around a little bit longer and subscribe. Definitely throw a little emoji in the comments if you've made it this far. I would love to hear how you found me, and if you're a crafter, what kind of crafting you do. And then we will catch up with you next time. Take care.